Hey everyone, welcome back to the Reclaimed Ranch. My name is Tara, and I took a poll a couple of videos ago, and people said that they wanted to start seeing some Christmas. So we're going to go ahead and do a few Christmas projects. And I did end up kind of hurting my wrist recently. I don't know if I sprained it or if I pulled a muscle, but that's why you see me wearing that black brace there. And these little vases, I got four of them at a yard sale for $2 each, which was a steal because the sticker on the bottom says $9.99, and they were brand new. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and decoupage one of my designed by Prima Christmas patterns onto it, and it'll be just a really nice vase for Christmas time to hold some berries or some greenery, and it will look really cool. Now these types of decoupage paper, they're kind of like a fabric, and so I've never done a fabric on the ceramic, the really glossy ceramic, so this is kind of new to me. I just wanted to try it out to see if it works, and it actually works pretty well. I am going to go ahead and just cut that halfway down, and then we're going to measure it to see where it ends. I wanted it to overlap just a tiny bit. And then I'm going to be using my Fusions Decoupage Transfer Gel. And so I go ahead and put a pretty good size coat on there, just because I didn't know how well this was going to stick. So I just do a starter strip, and then we're going to work our way around, kind of roll it around. And with this fabric type decoupage paper, it's really easy to just maneuver. And I pulled it apart a couple of times and was able to just pull tight and get the air bubbles out. And so now you see it does taper at the top. So as I was doing this, I was thinking, okay, how am I going to get that to go down? But while I was using my heat gun to adhere the decoupage a little bit better, it actually acted like those heat wraps, the shrink wraps, and it like totally shrink wrapped this onto it, which I was like, oh, super cool bonus. And it did, I mean, it kind of melted it a little bit, but it gave it that really cool ripped torn edge look. So I thought that was actually just perfect. And then I ended up giving it a little bit of I put some antiquing wax on the top ridge and the bottom ridge just to kind of give it a little bit of see how it's melting it right there? Give it a little bit of an antique finish. So I was like, sweet. It just kind of melted it right against the edge, and I tore the excess off, and then I put a little bit more decoupage gel on there and called it good. I was like, that was actually really easy. So this is definitely the easiest project for today. It just really only took me maybe around 5 minutes, if that. And I ended up with this really gorgeous vase. So can't beat that. And here's where I'm using the Hello Hobby antiquing wax, which I'm trying to just get rid of a bunch of my older stuff that I've had sitting around. This was from Walmart. They used to have Waverly, then they got rid of that, and this is like their brand that they brought in, but now I think the Waverly came back. I don't think people were as excited about their brand than the Waverly, but anyway, so I'm just taking a little tiny bit and just kind of giving it on that edge just to create a little bit of an antique finish and make it look a little bit older. So let me know what you guys think of this. I think it's super cute and way easy to do. Now this next one, I had a friend give me these two large vases, and I painted it black, put like a white finish on it, did not love it. So they sat and sat for quite a while. And so then I'm like, oh, I could make really cool Christmas vases. So what I'm using it's called Quick Cure Clay, and I believe I got this on Amazon. And what it does is you put it in like an air dry clay and leave a little bit more extra on top. And then you use heat to cure it. And I'm telling you what, this cures hard as a rock. Like when I went to sand it by hand, there was like no way I was going to get it done. I actually had to take it downstairs and use my electric sander on it just to even smooth it out. And so this is some pretty cool stuff. Now, when it does, I use a heat gun here, and it just takes like less than a minute. You can see it bubbling up there, and the package says when it starts to smoke, then it's done. And after it's done, it stays hot for a long time. So you got to be real careful not to touch it, otherwise you're going to get burned. But it's just so cool how fast this works. And so after sanding it, then I was able to paint over it and call it good. I did end up doing a textured paint on it because I didn't want to sand it completely. Like, I tried it with this finger sander and I was like, this isn't gonna work. I even got a different grit sandpaper, and I was like, I don't think this is gonna work. So took it downstairs anyway, did the sanding on the orbital sander. So I'm taking some cranberry fusion paint. There's just a tiny bit left in this little tester bottle, and I'm going to add some of the salt wash to it, and that will give it a really nice texture. And I did end up I ran out of the cranberry, so I added a little bit of the Highlander. It's a little bit more of a brighter red than the cranberry, and it ended up turning out the perfect red. So I'm going to stir this up. You can make it any consistency that you want. And then I'm going to the first coat, I just brush it on. Even though it's really gritty, I just want to get a base coat on, so I'm just going to brush it. And then the second coat, after this dries, I'm going to pounce it up and down, like in a stippling motion. And that's going to give me those really awesome peaks and little textures that I'm looking for to kind of help hide where those flowers used to be. So see here, I'm stippling it, and this is really creating a nice texture to make it just kind of disappear. So it's a fun technique to do. A lot of them, like, you can take a really slick vase and make it look like Pottery Barn or all kinds of different things by using that texture. And then after that second coat dried, I just took my hand, rubbed off the extra salt wash pieces. And now I'm just taking some air dry clay. You can use any kind of air dry clay. And I'm going to roll it out. And I want to cover where that big flower was. So I'm going to roll it out, and then I have my IOD stamp set called Holly Jolly, and it has this really cool Santa face on it. And so I want to put that into my clay. So I'm going to just set it down, use my rolling pin to flatten it out in there. There was a part that didn't come out very good, so then I just squished it with my hands. And that seemed to work fine. And then I just took my little X-Acto knife and cut out the areas that I didn't want in there and just kind of smoothed them out. And then I'm going to place it right over where I want it on my vase. And I'm going to leave it dry overnight like this. I'm going to tape it down and just let it dry. Now, the reason I'm not gluing it on right now is because I want to paint this. And if I glued it on and painted it, then I would have a really hard time not getting white paint all over the red. So it's just easier to let it form its shape, and then the next morning I will take it off and paint it. And then we're going to add some antiquing wax to it to bring out all those cool Santa features. So this is the next day, and I'm just going to remove it. Now you can see where the tape was. It's still a little wet, but that's okay. And I'm using my Fusions Victorian lace. I'm going to paint it all white, and I just used one coat. That's pretty much all I needed. And then I'm going to go in and use my Walmart's Hello Hobby antiquing wax. And my daughter was in here with me when I was doing this, and when I put the wax on, I literally just kind of doused it all over, and her eyes got so big. She's like, "Mom, that looks terrible." I said, "Just trust the process." So then I took my baby wipe and removed it. She's like, "Oh, okay, that's much better." So sometimes that just happens. You just have to trust the process and wait till the end before it looks better. So in order to glue it on, I'm going to go in and use my trusty Type Bond Quick and Thick glue. And I do have an affiliate link in the description below to get this on Amazon. So if you're interested, this is just the best glue that I've found, besides their wood glue. But Type Bond is just a great brand. Never have had any problems with it. So I am going to go ahead and just, because it is still a little wet, I'm just going to lightly take my paintbrush and just smear it around instead of using my finger so I don't crack it. And then I'm going to go ahead and just push it down on the same spot it was in. And here's where I started. See, it just looks terrible. Oh, her face was just hilarious. But like I said, you just trust the process. So I just wanted to get this color down in all those crevices so that you can actually see the Santa, because being white, it was really difficult to see anything on there. But as soon as I take that baby wipe, you'll see all the magic appear. Okay, so here's where the magic starts. See, there he is. Now you can see him. And my daughter was just so relieved. But I think it turns out so cool. And you can definitely do more, than just the Santa, but I just wanted to say stay simple, and I'm just really trying to not work my wrist too much. So this other project that I have, I got this, I can't remember the size of it. It's a pretty good size. For $2.99, this canvas at a Goodwill, or no, it was Value Village. And so I wanted to just make a beautiful picture for winter, but simple. So this is the IOD transfer Christmas Valley. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before. But yeah, I definitely need to get these used up. So it's just going to be a black and white theme, and I think I have a really cool frame I can put this in down in my basement. I just haven't found it yet. So this is just a transfer. If you've never seen me use these before, they come on a white backing. You remove that backing and then you place the transfer down exactly where you want it. Make sure it's where you want it. Otherwise, it's very difficult to put it down and pull it back up. Pretty much you can't. So then they give you this little stick to use, and you just kind of push down the transfer onto your project, and then I lift that plastic piece of paper up with my finger, and I work my finger underneath as I'm pushing on the top, and I kind of rub it back and forth, and it just releases that transfer onto your project. And then what you need to do is take your plastic piece and burnish it just like I did there, just to push it down and make sure all the air bubbles are out from underneath it. And so we're going to go on each side with this little decor piece, and then I'm going to do the big one in the middle. And I did end up putting a couple more embellishments on it that I forgot to video, but you'll see it in the end. Okay, and our final project today is I had these leftover wood rounds ornaments from last year, and so I wanted to be able to use these up, and I'm going to go ahead and just paint the base with my Victorian lace from Fusion on 2 of them, and a couple of them with the, I believe it's the Highlander red. And this year I'm just going to use some stamps. I got a new stamp set that I'm selling on Redesign by Prima, and I don't have them on my website just yet, but I am going to work on getting those up this week. They just have really cute little designs on them, and so I thought it would make a cute ornament. So I did these last year. I think I hand painted some images last year on them, and these are just fun to do with the kids. I love being able to just sit down with my daughter and have some fun painting and crafting. And so this year we're just going to paint the background and then stamp some images on them. And so, yep, I did use the Highlander. This is a beautiful red for Christmas. Just love this one. And I do have it available on my website. I sell all the Fusion products as well as the redesign. And so I did do 2 coats of the red because I didn't want the wood grain showing through. And so I did 2 coats on the red and then just 1 coat on the white, and it ended up being out perfect. So yeah, these are super cute things to do with the kids. Keeps them busy, and they're great presents for grandparents, all kinds of fun things. So it's called Santa's Helper Tags. Super cute. So whenever you get a new set of stamps, you always want to season them, and you just take a really fine grit sandpaper. I always use my little hand sander, and just rub on it, kind of rough up the stamp there, and that's going to help the ink adhere to the stamp and give you a nice crisp image. So always make sure to do that before you start. And then I really wanted to use the Santa image on one of them. So the red, I'm just going to use my IOD ink. I have the white, and then we're going to do the opposite. We're going to do red on the white. So of course you can pick any kind of color you want. You don't have to use the Fusion. You know, you can use whatever kind of paint you have, acrylics, chalk paint, DIY paint, whatever will work just fine. And then if you have those type of paints, you want to make sure, or any other kind of ink that's not permanent, just make sure that when they're dry, you use like a clear matte spray, like a Rust-Oleum spray or some kind of sealer over the top, just to keep them from smearing. So had fun just making some designs. This one has a little bird with a branch and some jingle bells, and so it's just kind of fun to relax and be creative. And then the final step on these, of course, is just to put some kind of twine or string, ribbon, whatever you prefer to hang up for an ornament. So I used ribbon, and I just did opposite colors again, red and white, and they turned out just super cute. So let me know what your guys' favorite was for this week. Mine is going to be that very first project, I think, the Decoupage vase, because it was easy and affordable, and it's just going to be a really nice decor piece for anywhere in the home for Christmas time. So let me know what your favorite was. And for Friday's video, I have Sonnet's Garden Blooms September's curated maker box. So you'll get to see what's inside of that box and all the projects that I get to create with that. So that'll be fun. And I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we'll see you then. Take care. Bye.